This is a demonstration of synapses changing real time.
Well, as you all know in science class, safety first, right? So I think probably if we're going to have people up here, we should make sure students involved in demonstrations have goggles on. Okay, let's try it again. Introduce yourself, shake hands. Okay, so, okay. Flip the goggles off before you go back to your seat. You can take the goggles back with you. Okay. As you probably gathered, they're not quite regulation goggles. Any idea what was going on there? You saw them sort of trying to... So, right, there's some kind of visual disruption going on there. We're going to take a couple of minutes to let you investigate for yourself what that experience is like. So try some sort of common task that you can do sitting at your table. Try shaking hands, try writing your name on a piece of paper, some kind of everyday task. So what I'm going to have you do in your group is come up and grab 5 beanbags, okay? And Ken has a whole variety of boxes. I'd like you to get and figure out like roughly 6 feet, some reasonable distance. I don't want baseball pitches across the lobby, okay? But so you're going to be aiming at a target, okay?
Basically, for the kid who can't hit the bucket, you make it a big target. You make it a big bucket, not a little hole. You make it a big bucket, and you make them as close as they need to get there, okay?
As you're doing this, there's a reason I've got 3 of you involved here, okay? One of you is going to be wearing the goggles, and you are going to be the subject throwing, okay? One of you is going to be responsible for recovering beanbags and passing them to that person, so the only thing I want the person with the goggles doing when you're collecting data is throwing. So one of you is going to be passing the beanbag when you throw.
All right, so 1, 2. So we're counting how many that she gets in. Keep going. 3, 6, 7, 8. Another perfect 8. All right, ready?
Yep.
Get them adjusted. Go. I'll make sure you don't fall. Just throw. Just throw. Just throw. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. There's so far 0. Ah, 1 got in. 1 out of 5. 1 out of 6. 1 out of 7. 2 out of 8. If we let Jessica go on longer, I think she would achieve 100%. Basically, we're making you use your foveal central vision, and I'm not letting Jessica move to pick up her own bean bags. I'm not letting her adjust by going to a table or learning to interact with the environment in any other way, because I'm trying to train very specific circuits.
You can see how many throws it took before you accurately were able to meet criterion and get the beanbag in the box. There was relearning going on. It's not just visual input you're changing, it's visual input and the motor output, the aim part of the throwing that has to compensate for the visual input change.
I would like you to collect data with a specific task for today. How long does it take before you're able to compensate to do a task? Okay? And then I would like us to follow up after we've compensated for the goggles. If we take them off, how long will it take us to go back to normal? Okay? Okay, so you've had a chance to have the experience, collect your data, and then take a look at how some of the other groups went about answering the same question. So as you walked around, are there some ways that as a teacher you felt like, yeah, this is good, this is easy for me to see what's going on, or things you preferred one way over another to represent?
I can't unlearn what I already know, even though I knew I had to go throw it to the left. I mean, hit the person sitting to the left of the box or whatever, but it didn't matter. Because the feedback that I was getting was it still didn't matter. Go to the left and you're still, this is what feels comfortable. And
after the second throw, we all thought it was much better.
Right. I saw that their original throws with the goggles were off to the left.
Ah, so you were
I
learning.
knew just going in.
So does your data reflect that you compensated more quickly?
I did better with the goggles on than I did without the goggles.
what we did change a set point in terms of moving the visual fields with the goggles. So we changed the inputs in a major way. And if you compare what you were seeing with the goggles on to your internal representation of the world and how to move your arm to do the throw and get the beanbag in the box was the normal that you were comparing to, there was a real mismatch and you had to adjust. So what was going on in the central nervous system as you were adjusting? All right.
Synapses were changing.
Thank you. This is a demonstration of synapses changing real time. You can see how many throws it took before you accurately were able to meet criterion and get the beanbag in the box.
And you actually have to change the circuitry when you try to hit it the second time. You changed your circuits.
How does this show you that your neurons are plastic?
Pedagogically, can we narrow the questions that we have our students do so that they get the idea of synapses changing as a take-home message from this experience?
If you could design questions where the only possible explanation is that the circuits are changing, then you could get them to that conclusion.
So you'd have to do this activity probably twice, we decided. You'd have to go back and address all of the content like the synapse and neuron structure before you could really get them to the conclusion about changing in synapses.
What we want to do today in follow-up to our Altered Reality 1 is Altered Reality 2. Think about some ideas that you might have or might have generated over your experience last week. Bring those to the table with the group that you are working with. Try to develop a plan. Come up with your own question, or if it is the same question, come up with your own unique take on how that's going to maybe shape out or how it could play out in your classroom.
That would be a question.
So why is it? Why can you still do video games, but you can't do things in 3 dimensions?
Your thumbs never really leave the buttons.
Right.
They're not usually looking at their thumbs.
Ta-da, I got it.
Our procedure was to measure 2 meter distance on the floor and mark with tape in a straight line. Each subject was going to place the goggles on and walk heel to toe across those 2 meters. And each time that the subject failed, they would have to start from the beginning again.
Approach Altered Reality from 2 different angles. One was guiding you with a lead question. Another was leaving it wide open for you to come up with any question. When it was more guided by one question, you were able to direct or be directed toward an idea about how your brains change, about synapses changing. And so you just have to think through, what is my objective for Altered Reality? If I were to apply this in my classroom, what is my end goal? If you left it wide open, you may never get to the synapses change piece, is I guess what I wanted to make sure you kind of got.
Lots of very simple kinds of things that can be manipulated and asked that have real nervous system and real world kinds of applications. So it doesn't have to be a broad open-ended inquiry, although it can be. But it can be very clear how you can illustrate synaptic changes. We think of it as a fun toy, but it actually may have some real ability to make our brains more plastic in a sense of healing.